Again, religion, I think, is a joke. It's just crystallized belief and conviction in something that is just giving you a security mechanism. You don't need that. Look around you. Everybody has the same game playing life. We have to get up, use the restroom, eat, find a purpose in our lives, and maintain some level of excitement about it all, despite the fact that it's just a long, dreary ride to death. So, look at the world as it is and just be normal. I think ethics, humanitarianism, of course, outweighs religion 10 to 1 or 1,000 to nothing.
Well, if people are acting according to real religious principles, then human rights are already included within that. So it's not either or. It's if you do follow according to religious principles, then human rights are already taken care of, because they see that the human body, or that according to many traditions, or according to the Vaishnava tradition, is that every body should be seen as a temple of God, and in that way, everyone would be protected properly if people had that understanding.
Well, human rights trumps religion, because human rights is a human condition. Religion is a personal condition. I think the third biggest religion in the world are non-believers, actually, behind Christianity and Islam. So obviously, there's a great deal of societies in the world that don't believe in religion, but they all believe in human rights. So human rights trumps religion.
Human rights. Because human rights aren't constituted by anything. Religion is constituted depending on, it has rules depending on what religion you believe in. So human rights, always.
Human rights. Because we all have these necessary rights that we live by, in order to live a healthy, sustainable life. And then that can be incorporated with religion, but we need our rights. We need protection. We need to be able to feel like we are living in a society where we are free to live as who we are.
Human rights, human rights, human rights. Human rights is there to stand up to make sure that we are all granted some sort of safety while we are here on this earth. Human rights is also there to make sure that our personal individual needs and wants are respected. Religion is there to make some sense of the world, and because humans in general like to believe in a higher purpose. So when you say human right, religion is there as an accessory, whereas human rights is your breath. So you're almost choosing between your accessory or your breath, and I choose human rights, so my breath.
Human rights, no question. I think some religion is definitely great and healthy for a lot of people, but I think that we've also seen a lot of times religion has caused a lot of rifts internationally for centuries, millenniums, ever since the human race was in existence and thought of such thing as religion. I think it's, again, definitely great for a lot of people. However, I've definitely seen it throughout history and even today negatively affect the lives of innocent people.
Human rights, for sure. I think human rights is probably makes it easier for people to communicate with each other. I think there's a lot of conflict with people's beliefs, like religious beliefs. I don't know.
Because they're not particularly shared by everyone.
Right, and I feel like it's easier to establish a common ground when you're talking about human rights as opposed to religion, yeah.
I believe in human rights over religion, for sure, because during the earliest ages of religion took away a great portion of human rights, and we fought for a lot of our rights. And like I'm an artist, so in the arts, it was a time period in which religion took over the full control over what people created artistically, and it wasn't until merchant classes were developed that people were able to like create work of their own accordance. And even till the point in which it took great expansions and great changes in human pushing, you know, the agenda of the Romantic era. Like the Romantic era was the first period in which people were allowed to talk about their human emotions, and the first period in which they were able to evoke more personalized things instead of it having to be based on a deity, you know.
Human rights. Yeah, of course human rights. Because religion is man-made and human rights is basically animal rights and environment rights at the same time. So instead of focusing on, you know, ideologies and philosophy that creates us to debate and be separate from each other, we can just skip all that, get to the facts, and care about each other instead of religion.
Human rights, I think they don't have to be mutually exclusive though, definitely. People's religion can be really important in the way that they interact with the world, and can create a really incredible breadth of communities all over the world.
I would choose human rights because for me, religion is whatever you practice. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but human rights is something that will protect you forever. You want to respect someone else's right and you want them to respect your right. So I would choose human rights.
Human rights. Human rights is a fundamental part of society, and if you take them away, then what do we have? Then it goes back to like World War II. So that's just simple as that.
Human rights. Religion is way too controversial. Definitely human rights.
I think you should always choose human rights because at the end of the day, the thing that's the most important is how you treat other people. And I think you should think for yourself, and I think people have their own sense of morality that they should follow.
I would prefer human rights. I mean, religion is something like people do not necessarily need for their basic life. I think human rights is mandatory for everyone. They need to have human rights in order to survive in this world. So I would go with human rights.
Human rights. Because I think it's important to treat people with respect. Admit, you know, everybody has their own way. If they want to be gay, they want to be straight, they want to be whatever. You have to respect them, and that's their human rights.
I think human rights, it's, self-explanatory. I think every human should have a right to be. Essentially religion should speak about love and should tie into human rights. But if that's not the case, I think, again, human rights is above all.
Human rights, but it's hard. Religion comes into our culture and who we are, but I think human rights is the most important. We need to treat everyone well, be kind, be good to everybody.
Yeah, I think you could say that religion is a main cause for a lot of the human rights issues we have. So human rights are far more important than religion.
Human rights. Because we're just one people, one world. And I think it trumps religion in general. The differences, it doesn't really matter. And no one can prove there is a God or there is no God with solid evidence. So I think that's why human rights trumps religion.
Human rights, because I think it's more encompassing, and I think that when you pay attention to that, it's more of an umbrella over everything.
Human rights. I don't know, to me it just feels pretty self-explanatory. Like, human rights bridges everything, it bridges everybody. There's no gap in that, nobody's left out from that. And yeah, it just seems like the priority to me.
They kind of go hand in hand, but I have to choose human rights. Because without rights, what do we have? And religion is so out there. Everyone has a religion, whether you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, it all goes together hand in hand.
Human rights. I think it's
it's universally much more applicable than religion. Religion is too specific, and it seems to have been the cause of all the wars to date.
I would choose human rights over religion mainly because human rights is essential to religion, and religion is built around human rights. So they're not mutually exclusive, but one is built on the other.
You know, I think both human rights and religion matter to me both equally. Human rights because it addresses social issues, and because religion is like, we seem like we all need to believe in something.
Human rights.
Human rights. Human rights. That's it. Just cause. Yeah, I mean, everyone should be, treated, with a certain amount of respect to just be alive, like if you're alive, you should just have these rights, and there's nothing, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm more leaning towards human rights also. I really don't have much of a belief when it comes to religion, but I believe that every person is just as important as anything else that's on this planet. So I guess with me, human rights, I guess, is more important, but I mean, with today's society and how people are, I think that's a very difficult challenge that we all face.
Human rights. Why? I think human rights include religious freedom, for example. So I think human rights trump all other rights, basically.
Human rights, because I feel everyone is entitled to their own rights and freedom to do whatever they believe.
Human rights, because religion is not really my thing.
Human rights. Sounds more logical to me than religion.
I say human rights because that's more important to me, because we need to respect all people. That's what I say.
I'm a pretty diehard Catholic, but I'll choose human rights. Religion can go by the wayside if the other choice is to make sure everyone has their natural rights and everyone lives a good, peaceful life. My mom probably will get pissed off about that answer, but.